The do we need the Fed for? I'll be honest with you. For months, I was like, I think I might be wrong about this. I think they might actually want to fire Powell, but it doesn't make any sense. They're winning.
It feels like central casting to me.
It really does.
Yeah, like Jerome's playing his, when he was standing there next to Trump, looking like Mr. Magoo, going, no, I didn't do that. No, I didn't approve that.
And he's such a and Powell is such a prick. Like, he really is. I mean, I think Powell's kind of cool, right? I mean, I really do, like in his own way. Because when I watch him at the ECB at the beginning of the month, and he's sitting there with Lagarde and Bailey and Ueda and all those guys, I'm like, he's in complete control of the room,
right? And that gives Jerome this ability now to be like, I'll keep rates higher, and it'll keep draining the Eurodollar system. It'll keep punishing the London banks. I've got SOFR. That keeps the bond vigilantes out of the room because they think they've got a responsible Fed chair.
That's right.
Meanwhile, Trump and Bessent are doing the end around with stablecoins and are going to issue tokenized treasuries straight into the commercial banking system. Then this distribution of stablecoins.
Yeah. And Bessent this afternoon, and everybody's like, oh, yield curve control is coming back because the Bessent is getting rid of the high interest rate, long-term stuff, issuing everything on the short term, knowing full well that Powell or the next Fed chair is going to have the ability to cut rates, cut the Fed funds rate, but got news for you. The need for dollars overseas is going to be higher than the need for dollars domestically, but you have to cut the link between the two of them. You have to create that onshore digital dollar versus the offshore dollar. And this is part of the process.
Yeah, I mean, this has been like one of the things I've been struggling with, right? If you look back in history, every time we as a country have moved to end a central bank, it ends in war, and it ends in a massive freaking war.
Yep.
And if you're going to end the Fed without saying we're going to end the Fed, and it's going to all of a sudden happen before bullets or other things fly, I mean, I can't think of a better way to try and engineer that. It seems really, really slick and sly.
It is.
If that's what's happening.
Yeah, if that's what's happening, right? And, now let's look at what some of the things that have happened. Sunday, Trump goes to Scotland, his property in Scotland, which has been widely now reported that everybody finally realizes that he owns the property on which the castle of Robert the Bruce exists, on top of the golf course and the mansion and the castle and the this and everything else, and summons the two most important leaders in Europe to his castle on his helicopter. Ursula von der Leyen, who I love this joke, but I shouldn't use it in public, so I won't. Rolls her in flour, and I won't tell you what the last half of the joke is. If you know the joke, you know the joke. Rolls the EU completely, and says, "No, you pay us." And then Keir Starmer, he just summons to Scotland and says, "Look, you're done. We're going to reconstitute the real throne, and we're going to get rid of you." I think Trump's big dreams are so big. He not only wants to save America, he wants to save all of the English Commonwealth, from which America and all the ideas of America came from.
Yeah, I've been getting that sense
vibe
lately that England is going to become our colony.
Mm-hmm. England, not Britain. We have to destroy the city of London and save English society, because they've been destroyed far more than we have.
Right.
And and if anybody doesn't believe me, go watch Clarkson's Farm.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that show. I could do an hour on Clarkson Farm with you.
But the story, the meta story of Clarkson's Farm is they've destroyed England.
Absolutely.
And, give it up to the great ape, man. Like, the dude is killing it. I don't even know. And I know he didn't start the show for that reason. I know he didn't go to his farm in the Cotswolds for that reason. He went because he's Jeremy Clarkson and it would be funny.
Yeah.
And he could sell it to Amazon. And then he got there. And then everything changed.
Yeah.
And then he went native. And God's bless him, man. Like I when I watched season 2 of Clarkson's Farm, I think it was season 2 or season 3. I wrote a blog about it, and I said, and I realized what he was doing, which was the whole farmers collective thing, and to try and save the local farmers. I think it was season 2. He was getting all that pushback from the local council, and about halfway through. Now remember, Paul, I used to be a small farmer like these people. Yeah. I used to go to the farmers market and market my goat and have to slog it out every day. Every Saturday trying to sell goat cheese to a bunch of over-moneyed middle-class people who said this is the food that they wanted. And I'm like, here, it's $6 a half pound. It's better than all the other goat cheese at this market for $6 a half pound. You don't like that? I've got this beautiful buttermilk dressing that we made, buttermilk and chèvre dressing that my wife makes. It's amazing. How about the ice cream? How about this? How about that? All of this lovely food. And they didn't want to pay for it, because it was a little bit more expensive than the Turkish crap that they could get, Greek yogurt that they could get over in, and I'm saying Turkish crap on purpose because it's for Dexter White. They call it Greek yogurt, but it's made by fucking Turks. It annoys the shit out of them. I'm like really? Okay. So and we did this, and I know how hard it is to raise a handful of dairy goats and take care of them every day and try and do that. Basically the gentleman farmer thing that Jeremy Clarkson does, right? Because really Caleb and everybody else run the farm. Yeah. Jeremy's not a farmer. He's there as PR and as the business manager. And I'm like, when I watched that and I realized what he was doing, it was right about the midpoint turn of that season. I said, stop. I told my wife, we're not going to the next episode yet, because I was in tears. It hit me that hard. I was like, oh my God, I've been watching Jeremy Clarkson for 25 years, 20 years, watching Top Gear and the Grand Tour and all this stuff. And I said, I've been a fan of Jeremy Clarkson most of my adult life. And for once, I'm finally proud of the fact that I am. Yeah, right. Because of this. And I was like, who else but the big ape could do this? And this is, I think, in some ways, you talk about the culture turning. There are certain signposts, and artists always get there first, Paul. This is very important. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, artists always get there first. Jordan Peterson's absolutely right about this. And I'm going to piss off a lot of people here, and I'm going to tell you, Rian Johnson got there first with The Last Jedi. Strip out all the things about The Last Jedi you don't want. Look at the meta story, and it's very clear. The men aren't getting it done, and the women don't know what the fuck can do. That's the story of The Last Jedi. And the old system failed. Now what? You're going to step up? Finn, you're going to step up? No, you want to die. You're a boy. Poe, you're going to stand up? Oh, yeah, he finally stands up. Kylo Ren, Ben doesn't stand up. He's offered the perfect woman and says, no, I still have mommy issues. Okay? That was the story. That one, I will go to my grave. The Snyder Cut of Justice League. It's a massive moment in the cultural shift in the zeitgeist, because that was supposed to restore the base superheroes, not the bullshit that we got from that we've been getting. That was supposed to restore DC to the center of the story, the big story surrounding superheroes as modern myths, not modern gods, modern myths. Because Marvel certainly wasn't doing that. All they were doing was warmed over Marxism and Malthusianism, and that got quashed. And now Clarkson's Farm, Mad Max Fury Road, in its way, looked on the surface as the ultimate feminist story. Wrong. It was the absolute rightful return of responsible masculinity, protecting women against the toxically masculine. Mad Max versus Immortan Joe, and the women that he's protecting to rebuild society. but he's the gargoyle that can't enter heaven. He has to, fuck off. He has to leave. Mad Max Fury Road. Befriended Brendan McCarthy on Twitter over this ages ago, and he and I became Twitter mates for a while. I was actually going to have him on the podcast very early on, and it didn't work. But Matt, who wrote the story, but originally wrote it for Mel Gibson, it didn't really like the movie, but the story, the fundamentals of the story are still there. He and George Miller put that story together and drew out all the storyboards for it freaking 25 years ago. So you watch these moments in the culture are important. And now, of course, this week it's, Sydney Sweeney's tits, which is fine. I mean, because I like Sydney Sweeney's tits, but, that's, it's not so, but that's not like, that's a different thing. But that's what we're seeing. We're getting, the culture has shifted, and now we're watching it reveal itself in the politics and in the monetary system. And, Bitcoin's now 15 years old, really 15, 16 years old. It's now part of an entire generation's, imprinting.
Mm-hmm.
And the generation that hates it because they got fat and happy and rich on the old system, the boomers, are aging out.
Yep.
And they still hate their children.
Well, we'll talk about that at the next steak dinner. I want to
which we need to
get back.
Which we need to organize, actually, and I keep forgetting to do so.
We'll do it. Back to this idea of depreciating assets, and I'm so glad that we're lumping the Fed into this, because this idea that you brought up, these depreciating assets, as they lose their useful life, they sort of get like, their last use case is to like sow some sort of chaos, or to throw in some bomb in the middle of the room, right? Like pull the plug and throw the IMF in, and pull the plug and throw Davos in. And so as these systems die, as they start to depreciate, become these losing assets, you describe them as like being sacrificed to push the Davos agenda.
Sure.
Is this just a sign of, it is a sign of the bigger cultural shift as well, and the loss of their useful life. But this also kind of ties into this idea of this new technology, right? And so it's like they become so useless that their only use is to engineer some chaos or drive a distraction campaign. Right.
At a certain point, you're at a use it or lose it moment, right? You've got this asset, no matter what it is, and and then you're going to extract value from it. You either, as I described it in the newsletter, in company life, when you've got a vertical that's not working, you either shut it down, cannibalize it, sell off the parts, or spin it off into a separate company that's no longer sabotaging the overall value of the company, and then give it some seed capital and see if somebody else can make a go of it. Right. I mean, you have to spin it off, shut it down, or detonate it. In the case of political assets, you always have the option of detonating them. Right. So Epstein is the guy that won't die, right? I'm not saying that the way the Trump administration has handled Epstein has been good. It hasn't been. But maybe they were never going to handle it well, because maybe it was always designed, because maybe the poison pill of it was set in motion, and there was nothing they could, before they ever took power. Like in this age of malice and disinformation, I can easily make and guilt by association, the ultimate guilt by association thing that we do now. I can easily make the case that, the Epstein information, be it the list, which doesn't really exist because who gives a shit about who was actually on the island, is when they were on the island contemporaneously that matters. Oh, by the way, if that even matters at all, that's just one thing, one angle on this. But Epstein was never going to have any more value than he does right now, trying to derail Trump from winning on the many fronts that he was about to win on, which is blowing the lid on Obamagate. I refuse to call it Russiagate anymore. And so it needed to be used. And it was probably, and the information was probably sabotaged and or doctored. Or only certain things were destroyed in order to lead to the inference that it was this or this or this. And, the idea that that people would even fall for the idea of that Donald Trump has such massively incriminating evidence inside whatever's left of the Epstein files at this point, whatever those happen to be, whatever information, whatever form that information takes, is laughable on the surface. It's also the idea that anybody would fall for it is pathetic. And I'll straight up, it's pathetic. And the reason it's pathetic is because they've had 10 years to destroy him with this. And they chose not to do so. They chose to use this after he wins re-election? Really? Huh. What universe do you live in? These people would have used it when they had him on the ropes on his way to prison before Butler. And then what I love about all this, and this is just I don't mind every once in a while, like turning to my critics and telling them that they're full of shit. But I get accused of playing 4D chess on the part of Trump all the time because, there's just all these grand, weird conspiracies that you're throwing out there and all this stuff you're throwing against the wall. I'm like, I need you to concoct for me something that's straightforward Occam's razor as to why Davos or the deep state or Hillary or pick any one of these fucking people that they would give me an Occam's razor as to why they wouldn't have used this against Trump for 10 years.
Isn't the immediate response that because it's self-incriminating as well? Meaning, if they're going to use the Epstein list to destroy Trump, they'll also be destroying themselves?
Why? They have control of the political process. They have control of the information. They had full control over the transmission system. They own the fucking wire on this part of it. Now using the term "the wire" metaphorically, they own the fucking wire. Why the fuck do they have to put on anything about themselves?
Good point. Yeah.
And if they did, and to give it even more credibility, they would have sacrificed an underling in the process.
Sure.
See, we got one of our people, but we got the prize, and that guy goes to Club Fed for a couple of years, and he gets out the other side with a $50 million bank account and a bevy of Cabana girls to bang for the rest of his life. He gets to, I don't know, sacrifice himself for Allah and go and get the 77 virgins in heaven.
Right.
I just issued a fatwa against myself.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest Byte Federal ATM and turn your cash to coin. Byte Federal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, bytefederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log into any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.